Hello! Welcome to another episode of Mega Manga Monday. I am Jason Hahn, and today we are talking about Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 181. And I can't do this by myself, so I brought a couple other buddies from Screen Rant in, and I happen to write video game news for Screen Rant, and my buddies write news for comic books and manga, and we love series like One Piece and Jujutsu Kaisen, and we're very excited to talk about it. But I'll go ahead and let them introduce themselves. Steven, you wanna start off, man?
Yeah, so my name is Steven. I'm a comic manga writer for Screen Rant. Been here for a little over a year. Mostly Shonen Jump goodness, but then also, Sonic the Hedgehog and all those other fun stuff. But yep, very excited to talk about Chapter 181.
Yeah, we were on break last week, so it feels like it's been a bit. But I'm after reading this next chapter, I'm glad they took a break when they did, because
Mm.
it was kind of a nice segue into this next arc. Which, by the way, this chapter is 181, titled Tokyo Number Two Colony Part One. So we're getting a pretty much a whole new section and stuff. But Ben, did you want to introduce yourself before we get too into it?
Yeah, I'm Ben. I'm also a comics manga writer for Screen Rant. Been here a couple months. I also double as Gege Akutami's manga assistant, apparently, because it's just how I know what's gonna happen in each next chapter. Uh,
Uh,
it's tough to balance, but I pull it off.
the first time ever that a popular mangaka has decided to hire an assistant from United States. Um,
Yeah,
of
no,
course, we're
I truly
joking.
am honored.
Yeah, maybe we're joking. I don't know. Ben might be. This might all be a ruse. Who knows? But our last couple Jujutsu Kaisen conversations, Ben's kind of nailed a lot of theories, and I'm anxious to hear his thoughts on this chapter because we got a lot of we got a resolution. We got things calming down from the last battle, Yuta versus Pompadour Man and Yura, and I'm I'm glad. I thought things ended pretty well. I was almost expecting Yura to maybe jump back up and be like, "I'm not done yet," but I'm glad things ended the way they did. Like it just felt like a very happy ending, really, for that entire conflict that we were on.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, I would have loved to, see her jump back in, but it felt like that the story had definitely run its course and it was time to jump into the next storyline. So I'm glad they did it, but it seems, I mean, they're still there. She's alive, as they said. So we'll be seeing her at some point again soon. So
Yeah, and that's one thing that I'm very glad I was wrong about because I thought that Uro got blasted off, just murdered like brutally like that. But I really like Uro, so
Hmm.
uh, I'm happy to potentially see more of her in the future, especially given what we see. We see sort of like a pseudo flashback at the beginning of this chapter from what I assume is her perspective that implies that she may have seen Suguna at his like peak in the past. Or at least that's how I interpret it. Uh,
Hmm.
based
Yeah,
on
I wasn't
his
sure
markings.
who. Yeah, it definitely looks like a version of Sukuna we haven't seen before, and I would love to think that that could be, that's what peak Sukuna looked like. Because anytime we've seen him, I mean, he's inhibiting the body of Itadori, so it's not really what he used to look like, and he looks pretty brutal. Like he looks
Yeah.
almost like Two Face, but with more eyes and more arms. Um, but yeah, I wasn't sure. Like as we were starting it, I wasn't sure who was talking exactly, and to who. And I'm not really sure if it's clearly Yura who he's hearing those words from, but it wouldn't make any sense for Yuta. Um,
Yeah,
s-
I feel like because we see like the shot of the earring, and that's like Euro's earrings. And also he mentions like Euro said the same thing when now I've forgotten his name again, Pompadour guy.
Hey, there we go, Pompadour guy. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just go with Pomp,
Uh,
Mr.
yeah.
Pompadour.
When he's saying that, like, oh, you're too weak for sparing me, and he's like, Euro said the same thing. So I feel like that's carrying on from that. But it is ambiguous.
Maybe she
is
explained to Yuta this, and they even kind of mentioned that. He's like, "Oh, what did she have to say? Was it like a lovers quarrel or something?" He's like, something like that." So
Yeah.
maybe she like told Yuta something about Sukuna because, yeah, it's totally possible that she existed around the time that Sukuna was a major player on the board.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting. Assistant writer to Jujutsu Kaisen.
Not confirming anything or denying anything.
You also couldn't remember Pompadour guy's name, so you might
That's
have
true.
been fired.
Yeah. Or it could be misdirection,
Yeah, yeah. Gege, we know you're listening. Just cut Ben some slack.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that we got the color spread too. We got the casual wear of Euro and Pompadour guy, and I love her outfit. The belt straps are really cool, and I love how Pompadour guy's hand is perfectly positioned, so Gege didn't have to draw the Pompadour.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the end of this kind of, we had a nice little dialogue with Pompadour guy and Yuta, kind of lending more to Steven's theory that they might, become good bros. And
No, that was another Ben thing.
was it?
That was one of the things where I was saying, like, oh my god, no, it's happening. Another Ben thing right there.
What can I say? It's just, I can see how the series is going. Because I received the chapters in advance.
Right. The approval.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this sounds
they
good.
have the whole, but yeah, I mean, they even have like the whole like the iconic, shot from behind, seeing them, sitting down together. It's like that the bro image that seems to be in a lot of manga. So it's like, yeah, everything, down to the T.
Yeah, I'm not familiar enough with the powers and how this thing works with, them bringing back sorcerers from the past and stuff. Like, I don't know if as soon as things get lifted, they just disappear and go back home, or what the deal is. But yeah, I would love to. I'm excited and hoping that they both play a part in the story to come. But we'll see. But I was kind of curious, like the last couple panels before we shift over to JJK getting meta as hell. They start to, in the last half of this chapter, they really start getting into the nitty gritty of reality and stuff like that. But we get a couple panels of, I'm guessing it's where Yuta is. Is it the girl that, like, it's the young student girl who's in a suit and tie, and I believe she was the one that had like the katana power.
Yeah, Miwa.
What was her name? I completely forgot it.
Miwa,
Miwa?
I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's her name.
Yeah, she's just kind of walking along some rubble. It looks like probably one of the blasts from Pompadour guy. But yeah, I don't know if she's kind of a question mark. She hasn't really ever been a major player in the story. She's kind of just been an exposition, somebody kind of reacting to things going on. So I have no idea what she's doing there, and why Gege dedicated half of a page to her mysteriously walking up through the rubble of this battle.
Well, she does look more serious than she has in the past. If that is her, like, in the past, she's been sort of treated as almost like comedic relief a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And now she's like, which it could make sense that she's undergone sort of a shift in her personality because of everything that happened with Mekamaru. She and Mekamaru were very close, and so I could definitely see his death affecting her and causing her to undergo some changes. But that might be a bit further into the future. We might not see much more of her Um, since it seems like we're leaving the colony that Yuta's in and she's in for another colony. But
Right. It's something that's probably not going to pay off for much later. And yeah, you just made me realize that like Mekamaru dying was a while ago, and it was
yeah,
I think he was killed by Mojito,
Yeah, but,
and
yep,
yeah,
yep.
and then it was
yeah,
almost like immediately after that, Shibuya kicked off. So we
yeah.
haven't really gotten time, I feel like, to stay with each character and see how like some of these major deaths like really affected them, because like the principal died. Panda kind of had his, his moments of reflecting on that before we went and introduced the two new people that they went and asked help for. I don't know if you guys remember that, but that was pretty. I thought that was a great chapter. Panda is one of my favorite characters, and
But yeah,
Well,
and
Panda
the
had a
prince,
great relationship with Mikamaru too.
yeah,
yeah,
A very interesting dichotomy there.
but yeah, it's just the
and it'll be
pacing of this series is just like it's been one thing after another, and these poor teenage high school students haven't had time to process or sit or do anything. They're just like, all right, well, I guess we have to go save the world or run for our lives real quick.
yeah. And I think that's why like Itadori is the way he is right now, because he's sort of lost the ability, or not lost the ability, but he's sort of just treating himself now as like this cog in a machine that kills curses.
Mm.
And I think that a large part of that is because he doesn't want to process the death that's been going around him. He doesn't want to think deeply about things. He just wants to, you know, get sort of revenge, or like it. He just wants to be a tool. Um,
Yeah, he
because
just
that's easier. It's
yeah, he seems to be in the mindset of just like let's get it done. Let's do whatever we can do to improve things, because it just as the his last battle against the lawyer guy proved, he feels incredible guilt for he believes it's his fault that Shibuya happened for Sukuna's domain expansion and stuff like that. And yeah, I definitely think that's going to rear its ugly head more and more as time goes on. But yeah, he's every time we've seen Itadori lately, he's just been full business. Like, this is my serious face. Like he's not having fun. He's not thinking about Jennifer Lawrence anymore. He's 100% in go time. And
But
I've
I
been
mean, he has been rubbing off on Yuta. I mean, even like we see in this chapter, like he makes that comment saying like he doesn't want to kill senselessly anymore. Yuta says that because he's saying something like his friends are rubbing off on him. So even though Yuji is going through like this existential crisis almost, like that goodness in him is rubbing off on even the most jaded characters.
yeah. And it's interesting to see them going in opposite directions, right?
Yeah, from those yeah.
Yeah, and I almost feel like, I mean, since Yuta's introduction, he started off as the kid who just didn't want to interact with anybody because he didn't want to hurt anybody. And even by the end of the origin arc or the movie, depending on how you ingested it, it just he keeps on getting more and more lighthearted at the end of every scene that we get him in. So I don't know, he may turn into like a Monkey D. Luffy by the end of this. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Just thinking the most lighthearted character I could think of. But yeah, I don't know if you guys have any more thoughts on the first half of this chapter before we jump into literally the offices of Shueisha Shonen Jump.
No, I mean, at least on my end, I think we pretty, went over all of like the really big points.
Yeah, I'd agree. It was nice to see like a nice happy wrap up there, but
Yeah, it was just the closure we needed, and not to toot my own horn, but I think that was something I brought up in the last discussion. I was thinking that we're probably going to get a nice little wrap up, and then probably a transition into the next thing. And again, I think Ben called. We're going to jump into the arc with the new characters that they introduced, and I honestly kind of even forgot what the guy. Like I saw
Akari.
him. Pakari or Mugari?
Hakari.
Oh yeah,
Neither.
Hakari.
Hakari. Okay. And he's the guy that Yuji fought, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I forget what were his. Do we know what his powers were?
We don't know. We've seen him like conjure doors that have that can close on his enemies, but we don't actually know what his powers are. We do know that Gojo considered him like on par with Yuta as like one of the up and coming sorcerers who could potentially like rival his own abilities someday.
Oh, all right.
So he could just have an incredibly broken ability. That we'll probably find out soon what it is.
Yes, and we're about in the same position with the new character that they introduced this chapter, Mr. Charles Bernard. He is a manga artist who grew up in Japan with, was it French parents or
French
something?
parents.
Yes.
Yeah. He says we, so
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost, I'm getting JoJo vibes about every other panel with him. And it's just, I don't know, it's always weird when a story like calls out things that exist in the real world, especially when it is so close to. Well, I'll just get into it. Like it starts out, and our new character is going for a job interview to be a manga creator, which the person behind Jujutsu Kaisen might have a little knowledge on. But we start at the offices of we start at the offices of Shueisha, and they're drawn with no personality. It looks like a boring, terrible place to work. But yeah, I like that this new character is instantly introduced as like quirky, and he's throwing like JoJo poses, and he doesn't believe in chairs, sitting on the table right away. And I just love how Gege had to be a bad manga artist for a little bit to like draw this guy's manga. And I don't know, it was just quite an introduction to this character. They didn't really make anything likable for him, so I'm not 100% sure if he's going to survive. He's clearly got some issues, and not respecting other people and breaking that dude's finger and stuff. And but I don't know, it was the standard like, opponent introduction, I thought. I don't think that they're I'm very curious to see what his abilities are.
Yeah, and it's interesting whether they'll be manga related or not. Because like if you looked at the Zenin clan, like they were animation related. So like clearly Gege is willing to put in abilities that relate to anime and manga directly in the series. So
I forget animation powers. I forgot. What are you referring to?
Yeah, it was like some of like the patriarch of the family could like turn enemies into like a two-dimensional animation sort of thing.
Oh, that's right.
Like,
and the film cells.
And, yeah, the film
I
cells.
forgot about that.
And like they like Maki beat Naota, I think Naoya, his name was that. Because he was moving at like the speed of animation and she could just move faster than that. But so I could definitely see, he's tackled, film and animation. I could definitely see this being related to manga in some way.
I would love it if he Gege decides to break the fourth wall, and this guy like literally like reaches out of the manga and starts erasing this other guy. Like we get some real life photos of Gege's like office and
that would be great.
Cartoon fist coming out and trying to erase him or something like that. I almost wonder if that's something that they might do, especially because he started this whole I guess we want to go with mini arc with the Shueisha offices. I almost think they're kind of opening a little window to the real world, so then they can kick the door down for this guy's power and have it get all weird and don't think about it too much. Kind of because a lot of especially at this point of this series, I mean, we could do anything with
Oh,
these
yeah.
people's powers. He's just set it up so well.
I don't know. I kind of want it to be the exact opposite because, like, I mean, it's obvious that he wants to be a mangaka, but I mean, we see him getting shot down, like, in a brutal way almost, and,
Yeah.
having interacting. Like, I would kind of love it if, like, his powers, like, were the exact. I don't even know how they would be depicted or what this would mean, but if it was, like, the exact opposite of something creative, just because it's, like, something that he wants so badly, but he can't do it. So,
Well,
I mean, at least from my perspective, it'd be kind of interesting
yeah.
if that was the case.
So
Well, something that I could see being a very interesting way to go with it is he can like do something related to manga art, but it's like bad
Bad.
manga art. Like, there's a character in One Piece, and this isn't like a major spoiler or anything, but their power is to like make people into abstract art, and like, and it's just like they're just very poorly drawn and stuff like that when they're fighting her, and so this could be a similar sort of thing. And he's like, I made you into great art, and it's just like stick figures or something.
yeah, and that's a brilliant idea because how it worked in One Piece, again, not spoiling anything, but it's just like, oh no, I've been drawn with less detail, so I don't have fingers anymore, or like it like literally affects how they are able to do all their abilities and stuff like that because they are drawn, with less detail.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very curious to see what sort of powers this guy has because we just know nothing about him, and this other new character has been talked up quite a bit. So I think we're in for
Yeah.
quite a show. But there's also the question of, are these the only two people in this, in this area?
Yeah. I mean,
You know,
they're yeah, you can go ahead.
no, go ahead. No.
Okay. They are the only two people in this Ferris wheel, which is kind of a
Yeah.
weird setting to start off with, because they apparently got together, went into a Ferris wheel together. So they get together, like meet up. Presumably they talk a little and say, "Let's go to the Ferris wheel together and get in the same car."
Right.
And that, like, I'm very curious what exactly led to this. But it's funny. I am curious to see how being in a Ferris wheel will interact their fight, or affect their fight, not interact their fight.
But yeah, Ben, I agree. Like I was almost wondering, like, did I miss a page or something? Because guy just kind of walks out of his failed job interview where he broke his interviewer's finger. Which I haven't been in a job interview for a little while, but for anybody listening who needs to hear this, don't break your interviewer's finger. It will probably not go very well.
Yeah,
But yeah,
he
he
didn't
just
get the job.
yeah, and he won't. He'll never get the job now. Way to go, Charles Bernard. The easiest to remember name in this entire series. But yeah, he walks out. He walks into the street, and then suddenly they're in the Ferris wheel together. And I was kind of confused, and I was like, okay, wait, who's talking? What's going on? Like, it really just kind of threw me off. But I I don't think we're gonna get the explanation on how we got here.
Yeah, no, it's just opening in media race, and that's all we get.
Yeah, there's got to be like some use for the Ferris wheel with one of these guys' powers, because that's that I mean, yeah, why else start in a Ferris wheel?
Or it could just be fun. Like it's like, dude, why am I in a Ferris wheel with a dude? Like he like literally says that. He's like, I guess I could use this, take my lady out here sometime. I'm scouting out the place, but
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I actually kind of liked Charles's character here. Like it almost like I'm probably reading too much into it, but what I found was interesting is that he's asking, like for a good reason to fight, and the first thing that he says, it's like it sounds like he's trying to get inspiration for like a manga or something. Like this is what the battle manga readers, they want to have, something positive. So I want something positive. But it's ironic because when he was first saying that, he was, angry that, this whole culling game has been making it hard on um, mangaka or, creators to actually get good jobs, during this time. And that sounds like that would be a good reason to fight, to help them. But then, in the end, he's asking, for this deeper reason. And then what ends up getting him all riled up is the guy saying, like, oh, yeah, you're a crappy mangaka. And that's like, it just kind of like, it's kind of sad almost. Like he kind of wanted something deeper to kind of make his art much more engaging. And he ends up just getting reeled in for completely the opposite reason. I don't know. It's kind of added depth to his character. I like that part.
I almost think it's because we are writers or people of art. I think somebody being like, "Oh, what do you do? Oh, I write news articles for this." Oh, I would never. Suck. You suck. I would never ever want to read that. You'd be like, well screw you, buddy. Like, let's fight. Let's fight in a culling game.
You know what? Yeah. What I'm also wondering though, like, because Fujimoto is always on my mind, but like Fujimoto, Chainsaw Man, but like, so because in his other one shot before his latest one, Goodbye Eri, like it was just focused on becoming a mangaka, and it kind of sounded like autobiographical. I still can't say that word. Autobiographical.
Autobiographical.
About himself.
I always have to remember that.
So. And so it's like, it's kind of interesting. Like, I know that, Gege is definitely, skilled, but he definitely has a different style. And I'm wondering if, like, he's, like, kind of channeling his frustration through this character, Charles. Like, kind of like how Fujimoto might have done in Look Back, like, with the main character there, like, struggling, like, being a great writer, but not being, like, a stereotypical artist, it's kind of interesting. Like I'm kind of like getting that feeling. It's like they're kind of expressing themselves. Like they've made it, but at the same time, there's probably points in their lives, because if you're an artist, you're getting rejected constantly. So I'm wondering if like they're using this as an outlet to kind of get some of that frustration out.
Oh, 100%. I think that they're 100% writing like what they know, and I'm actually glad that you brought that up, because it kind of swings around to something I wanted to bring up about this chapter. Was it's almost like they're using the culling game and this new way that people are looking at the world after the cursed spirits have been revealed and all that. They're almost kind of using it as a way of like I feel like relating it to post-pandemic real world stuff. As I was reading it, I was almost like, oh yeah, since the world changed, people are having a hard time, doing the job that they're passionate about, and having a hard time adapting to the way the new world is and stuff. And I'm just like, oh man, this is getting really real. Like, I almost wonder if Gege is, using this character, exactly what you're saying, kind of in a way to vent his inner frustrations with, he might have some, people who are manga artists as well, who are not, their careers aren't taking off as well as he thinks that they should. And I think even a lot of people out there who have quote unquote made it still have that feeling of like, and I got lucky. It's like an imposter syndrome kind of thing. It's very common amongst people who create art and are trying to work for themselves and stuff. Not that I would know anything about that.
Or they could be successful and go on Twitter and just see the worst people in humanity treating you like crap.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of a shame. Like a lot of.
And I, it's funny. I'm actually writing an article on this chapter specifically on how a lot of the complaints raised about Bernard's manga is specific complaints that can be raised about Jujutsu Kaisen that I've seen made of Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh, people have made those? Yeah.
Yeah, like, the art style is all weird, and they're occasionally like strange stuff with fingers, especially.
Like even on that scene, yeah, like no, that's perfect. Yeah, like on pages either 12 or 13, like the guy holding the actual comic, like you can see his thumb, like it's not a realistic thumb. Like I could see like
Yeah,
he's kind of like doing that on purpose. It's like, yeah.
yeah, and also a lot of people have been complaining about like the culling game precisely because it's like it's kind of like a fighting tournament, but there's no real like prize at the end of it, like
Mm.
kind of. Uh, so it's
Up
like
living, I guess. And
yeah, yeah, living, but like generally in these sorts of things, it's like you're fighting for a goal that
yeah.
like the winner gets this sort of thing.
Mm.
But so it's kind of funny that it seems like they sort of channeling a lot of the complaints made against this manga into Charles Bernard. And at the same time, I think he's showing why the series has to be this sort of way. Like the moment in which he breaks the guy's finger, like I think part of the reason it hits so viscerally is because of the art style, right?
Yes,
Like
yes.
it's something that wouldn't really show up in a more realistic art style that isn't drawn this way. And it also shows how this series handles both like comedy and horror very well, sometimes in the very same moments. Because it's a funny scene, but it's also horrifying.
Yeah.
This guy just broke the guy's finger, uh, and
And
so
and then, oh no, keep going, keep going.
you can go.
No, I mean, like, but then also at the same time, it's almost cathartic. Like, it's kind
Yeah,
of weird because like I I could almost like it, like if this were coming exactly for what Gege is feeling, it's like he's probably wanted to do that.
yeah,
People are like
Yeah.
saying like, dude, look at those fingers, man. You don't draw like that. Well, it's like, you know what? Let me make your finger look like that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, that's something that you want to do, and maybe he's getting this through his character, Charles. It's like this is
Yeah.
what I want to do.
Yeah,
If
that
I was his
actually
editor, I would be very afraid right now.
well, uh um ugh. Well, we kind of yeah, we think you are, so I hope you'll be able
Yeah,
to.
well, no, I'm his assistant, not his editor.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, you're safe then.
no. Yeah,
uh um but yeah, that actually goes into something I was going to bring up. Like, I'm really curious. I mean, just I'm instantly fascinated with a new character they just introduced, and I'm wondering how far Gege is going to take it. Like, if he just
Mm.
keeps on channeling, everything every bad thought he's had about being a manga artist, he's going to put it in this guy's story. Like, he's got a whole list of complaints against his bosses and stuff, and we're going to see if he has puts them all into this guy's story arc.
What's crazy though, too, like if this is the case, like he waited a long time to do this.
yeah,
Like it's kind of interesting. Like you would think that this type of a character would happen, or like if it was something that needed to be said. I mean, because he's obviously wanting to create this story, but at the same time, for a lot of artists, creating is, like I was saying before, cathartic. So it's like almost like I wonder why he was holding back for so long if that's what this character represents. But I guess you can always just ask him, Ben, next time you see
yeah.
him.
That's true. I mean, if I had to guess, it would probably be because like the Culling Game arc, I think, has not been as well received as the Shibuya incident arc.
Mhm.
Understandably so, because the Shibuya arc was just incredibly good. And if you're expecting something on the same like level as that right after it, with like the same breakneck pace and all that, like it's just sort of an unreasonable expectation that I think a lot of fans probably had.
I'm,
Um,
I'm actually one of them. Unfortunately,
yeah,
I wrote an article about it too. Like
yeah,
I was like, is this just filler? Like it felt like it almost. And
yeah.
I
It's an
felt that.
understandable like thing to
Yeah.
see because this is all set up in my mind for like
Yeah.
the next big sort of Shibuya incident level arc. But like, we were spoiled. We were spoiled so much during Shibuya. It was just so good.
Well, it
Which
was
makes you
almost
wonder,
like,
why do you do that so early? Like that's what I'm always wondering. Like that's like an epic final battle. It's like why?
oh
It's
yeah,
like right in the middle. It's like it's kind of interesting that he placed it there. Like it's kind of he's
I
gonna always
uh,
have to
I
work
almost see
against
it as
luck.
just like a testament to Gege's talents, like in storytelling. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
he's maybe only halfway through the story, but he was able to like create an arc where so many storylines come to a conclusion and you still get what felt like a big epic like final fight of the series, and it felt great and rewarding and all those things. And this arc is almost, I think we brought it up in a past discussion, but it reminds me of the arc of My Hero Academia where it's class 1A versus 1B, which is an arc that no one really liked. And even the anime, that was like the worst received season of that show so far, because it was, I think the whole purpose for it was to bring in all these other characters and get refreshened up on what their new abilities are. This arc, however, the culling game, is doing the same thing and introducing new characters and their powers, but it is in such a much more entertaining way. Like even if some people are, not enjoying this arc, I am I'm interested in all these new characters that they're bringing in. Their powers are creative and cool. I'm interested to see how they're going to affect the whole world, which is, stuff that I can't say I felt the same way with like My Hero Academia. And this podcast isn't really, for comparing Shonen Jumps or Shonen series to other Shonen series, but I'm all for it. Like I think it's paced really well, and the decision to keep, each one of these mini arcs to just, a half dozen chapters each or so. It's I agree. I think it's definitely setting up for something even bigger to come in this next arc, and I don't know what's going to happen how or how it's going to all come together, but I'm here for it.
Yeah.
But this new Charles Bernard character, the only other character I can think of that a manga artist has created, like a manga artist in his series, is JoJo with Ronin, and which is
And
part 3, part 4,
part 4.
part 4, yeah.
And also Rohan has gone on to like have his own spin-off series, like the characters that
it's on Netflix. I saw, and I was like, "Wait, is this the same Rohan?" And it totally is.
Yeah,
I will say this: like, there is another manga that's done this as well. Like, but I wouldn't give too many spoilers with it. But it was a major arc in Undead Unluck.
Oh, cool.
Where, but it was more, say like metaphysical type of manga. Like it was like brought the whole manga thing into the real world, but then gave it like a crazy spin, which is what Undead Unluck likes to do. But which I'm excited about, that we might be getting an anime announcement in the next chapter.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'm hoping. Like I haven't started the series yet, but I've heard great things, and it sounds like a fun one.
But yeah, I'm excited. Like I think that's where the next chapter is going. Like the unofficial Shonen Jump or whatever Twitter was, the way that they worded it. A lot of people were like, "Wait, what does this mean? They're going to do an anime announcement in the next chapter?" I'm looking forward to it.
I hope so. The little bit I've read of it, it absolutely deserves it, and I hope it's not going to Mappa. Those employees need a break, man. As talented as they are, they've got their hands full. So, we'll see if it gets announced and who's going to be in charge of it. But yeah, it's a great time to be a fan for anime and manga now. We got a lot of great series and stuff to talk about, and a lot of coming animated. Yeah, I'm actually really curious to see this chapter animated, because the whole like interview scene is going to seem like playful and funny and kind of weird, and then it's just going to be the crack, and you're like, whoa, oh, okay, this is like, I almost see it being played off really comedically, instead of being like a horror thing. But I don't know. We'll see how it all works out. But what do you guys think is going to happen next chapter?
Yeah, Ben, what do you think?
Well, if I had to guess, there's going to be the start of a fight between. I know this is a crazy prediction, but I could definitely see Charles Bernard and Hikari starting to fight. And I feel like we're not gonna get exactly what Hikari's powers are in the next chapter, though. So it'll be interesting. I feel like we're gonna see what Bernard's powers are, because we got so much backstory from here. and sort of like this fight almost seems as if it's from his perspective, which is kind of a neat sort of switch. But yeah, I feel like Hikari's powers are gonna remain in the dark for at least one chapter more. Uh, that's that's my prediction. That's not just like they're gonna fight. But,
Well, yeah, because if you think about it, the last time this very similar thing happened was Itadori's last fight with the lawyer. We got a whole like chapter of his backstory, and then even during their fight, it was kind of told through the lawyer's perspective.
yeah,
So I'm wondering if we'll stick with Charles's perspective. But yeah, I think you're right. I think that it might be. I think. Man, what's Charles and what's the other guy's name? I keep forgetting.
Hikari.
Hikari,
Yeah.
yes. I think Hikari is going to be on the defense end because I think he just said something to sort of upset him, to get him mad. But clearly he took it very, very personal, and I think he's going to lash out and reveal almost maybe too much of his powers right away. I think it might be really interesting if he like surprises Hikari and ends up like hurting him very badly, like more than he would expect, and so he's going to be on the back end the entire thing. I think that'd be kind of interesting, but I definitely think the fight's going to start, and then I almost wouldn't be surprised if another sorcerer appeared by the end of the next chapter, because
Yeah.
it's been a while. It almost feels like it's been a while since we've had like a one-on-one fight. I mean, we had Fushiguro and
Reggie started.
Reggie, yes. We had that one-on-one, but even while that was going on, like I feel like there was a lot of other stuff going on, and it almost feels so quiet now at this point
Yeah.
after everything that's happened and the other culling game bubbles. That this just feels like too normal and quiet for everything that we've seen going on in these other bubbles, especially after the last one. Yuta just jumps in, and there's like three of history's strongest just like in a stalemate, like after buildings have been decimated and stuff like that. So I'm curious to see how far this all goes, but yeah, I think we probably have another sorcerer in just waiting.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't seen Constellation sorcerer yet, and that was Hikari's assistant. So I forget their names.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She was traveling with, and Fushiguro fought her temporarily, right?
Yeah, but that was before they entered
The calling,
the
yeah.
bubbles. So, and if
The danger
if
bubbles.
they were gonna go anywhere, they'd probably follow their boss, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So she's probably waiting and, waiting to give support if he needs it.
yeah.
But Steven, how about you, man? Any wild predictions?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of hoping that we don't really see anything from Hikari, like in terms of his real power. Like I want to see that all manifest, like in the Fight Club. Like that's where,
Yeah.
and that's where he's all at. I mean, he's like I mean, that's his thing. I mean, I would, I think that's where we should really see his full power come into play. But who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
Ben
He's
knows.
fight. Oh yeah. I mean, but keep it on the down low. I don't want to get fired as Iggy's assistant.
All right, well, I'm going to publish this by the end of the day, so online, a lot of people have access to it. But you'll always have a spot here on Mega Manga Mondays, Ben.
That's true. And if I get fired, it'll be worth it for discussing these theories with you guys.
Because the people have to know. Ben's doing this all for
Exactly. Exactly. I'm doing it for you, the fans.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, yeah, any closing thoughts on Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 181 before we jump into plugs?
Not really. I mean, one last thing I want to mention that I thought of just while looking over the last couple pages while we were talking is that I'm curious if Bernard's power can only be used if he's angry or upset. So I'm not sure if that's gonna show up or not. But it would be interesting, and it would give him another reason why he'd be asking Hikari uh, to make him hate him. Uh, but I don't know. That's just something I just noticed. But no matter what his powers are, it's going to be a fun fight ahead. So I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I think that'll about do it for this chapter discussion, Mega Manga Mondays of Jujutsu Kaisen 181. I am Jason Hahn, and if you enjoyed this, check out our other episodes of Mega Manga Mondays. We try to talk about Jujutsu Kaisen, One Piece. We got new chapters of Boruto and Dragon Ball Super coming up this week. We'll probably be talking about those. But yeah, I have a great time talking with you guys about these different series. I also have another YouTube channel called Honzy and Friends. I do some streaming and some comedic video game let's plays with some other friends. It's a good time. I do streaming every Wednesday and Sunday. Kind of taking a break this week from holidays, and actually going to go see a concert in Chicago this Wednesday. So.
Ooh.
But yeah, definitely check them out. Like, comment, and subscribe, all those things. Wherever you're listening to your podcasts, check them out. Ben, any recommendations or plugs?
The Spy X Family anime has started coming out, and I just watched the 2 episodes out this weekend, and it is incredibly good. They did a great job adapting it, and yeah, it's just adorable and very fun.
See, I've
So,
seen the name of that series around, but I don't really know anything about it.
oh, it's very fun. It's basically a spy a spy is investigating this like political figure, and to do that, he needs to put a family together. So he gets a young daughter, Anya, who from an orphanage, who is
Who
the
can
most
read
adorable thing in the
minds?
world.
Yeah.
And and she can read minds.
Oh,
And then he like finds a wife, and she turns out to be an assassin. And Anya knows everything, but like the other members of the family don't know anything. There's like oh, I got to keep my secret from my spouse and stuff, and it's just very fun and very adorable, and it's just like the manga is great, and the anime looks like it's like a perfect adaptation. So.
all right. Well, yeah, check out Family or Spy X
My
Family.
X Family, yeah. It's
All
like
right,
Hunter X Hunter.
nailed it. All right, sweet. Well, yeah. How about you, Steven?
Yeah, so I mean, nothing like new with manga, but I did really love the last chapter of Chojin X, Sui Ishida's new manga, the mangaka of Tokyo Ghoul. That last chapter was absolutely insane. Like it's really, it was kind of like especially I mean if you're comparing it a lot to Tokyo Ghoul, it was a steady build up, but we're getting to that point. We're at chapter 20, where it's just things are getting really real, really fast. So,
Awesome. Is that
yeah,
a monthly series?
it's whenever he wants to do it series.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes he does like he releases a chapter like every 2 days, and then he's off for a month, and then all of a sudden he's back, and so it just seems like whenever he wants to do it. But
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta always check in on the Jump app just to see.
yeah. So yeah, like whenever I get because I get the bump notifications whenever it comes, I'm like, oh man, new Chojin X, yeah.
Well, awesome. One last thing I'll plug is Screen Rant. Check out screenrant.com for your comic book, manga, video game, and movie news. I actually got to write a story about a new Naruto Ninja Storm game, which I am so excited about. If it's real, I need that in my PlayStation now. But yeah, check out Screen Rant, and my buddies write amazing articles about different series, and every time a new chapter comes out, there's a bunch of cool theories to read about. So definitely check them out there. But I think that'll wrap up this episode of Mega Manga Mondays. Check us out on Twitter, wherever you listen to podcasts like Spotify and stuff like that. But yeah, I look forward to our next chapter discussion of 181, and I hope you guys have a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You
See y'all
too.
next time.
Peace.